Hello, I'm Travis Barnes, Recycling Coordinator with Hillsborough County Solid Waste Management Division, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government, and today we have a very important subject. I have Travis Barnes with me, the recycling expert here, and he's a recycling coordinator at the Disposal Process Management section of the Solid Waste Management Division. And I said that all with one breath. Very important man to listen to because we're burying ourselves out there in trash. And in order to make that a little better, Travis, you're here to explain to us how we can quit burying ourselves in trash, take stuff out of the landfill, and do something with it.
Yes, sir, Bill. Thanks for having me out here. I'm excited to be able to talk to your audience about the importance of recycling and recycling correctly, make sure that we're all minimizing our impact on the environment, taking a look at the materials that we're producing, make sure we're putting it in the right cart, whether that be the garbage cart or the recycling cart.
And that's not as easy as it sounds, is it? Or at least it sounds easy and is easy, but between sounds easy and is easy takes a few steps, right?
Yes, sir. So there are some details out there. First of all, we like to say all garbage is local. And it's important for your listeners to keep in mind that what we're going to talk about today is here specific to Hillsborough County's jurisdiction and the unincorporated area of Hillsborough County in particular. Other viewers that you have may be out there from other parts of the community or other parts of the country. They need to go check with their local municipality, learn what's important in their community and how to do things there. But what we're going to talk about today is the details here in Hillsborough County and how to recycle correctly.
And you did say there are a couple of minor exceptions to that, Plant City and somewhere else over in that section?
That's right. Temple Terrace and the city of Plant City, they both have their own recycling programs, slightly different than unincorporated Hillsborough County. City of Tampa, most of the program materials that are acceptable in their green cart is the same as the blue cart here in Hillsborough County. So that's the vast majority of your viewers, will be listening to what we're talking about today and they'll be in good shape.
So, but for those of you in those few little areas, follow the directions of the people in those areas, correct?
That's correct, yeah. Check your local website for Temple Terrace or City of Plant City, and you can get up-to-date information on their websites about what you can and can't recycle in their respective programs.
We met you because we had people from your division on the program and decided to see a little bit about recycling. And Phyllis, my wife, is a reporter for the Observer News, and we thought maybe it'd make a good article.
Yes, sir.
So we called you and we set up a time with you, and with our press credentials, we went over to the recycling center in Pinellas County, and it was a fantastic place.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you got a chance to see kind of behind the scenes of where all of our recyclables go. So just for your viewers to know, all of your recyclables collected curbside within Hillsborough County is collected via our automated collection vehicles. That's then taken over to a transfer station, and it's operated by Progressive Waste Solutions. They're our contracted material recovery facility. That's then shipped over to St. Petersburg at their material recovery facility. It's processed out, shipped into respective bales, whether that be plastic or your paper, your metals that are recyclable. And then those bales are shipped all across the world, domestic markets here in Florida, in the US, as well as foreign markets all the way from China to India, Mexico, wherever else that people are doing manufacturing with those recycled goods.
We're going to, throughout the program, talk about what goes in the baskets, what doesn't go in the baskets, or carts, or whatever you want to call them. But when we were over there in that facility, and by the way, I was amazed at how clean they kept this facility. Those people really work hard to make it work. But 3 times during the hour we were there, the whole line had to shut down because things went in there that shouldn't have gone in there.
That's right, Bill. So I guess we were fortunate in that you got to see a good example of what, when we talk about contamination in the recycling stream, the impact that it has on the back end of our recycling process. And to give a specific example, recycling has been one of those things where people have been advocating it for years and years, that you should recycle as much material as you can, that it's good for the environment, good for the economy to do so. And that is true. And it's very important for people to recycle. It does make an impact. However, it's come to the point where people assume any type of metal or any type of plastic is recoverable.
Well, I was one of them.
And in reality, you're not alone. And that's something that across the industry, not just here in Hillsborough County, but across the country, that word has gotten out there. People understand that recycling is good for the environment. What they don't understand, and what we're trying to educate and inform customers about, is that our system is designed to capture just a small subset of all of the universe of recycling. And in particular, you mentioned the facility, some of the problem items that we have, or anything that can wrap up on that separation equipment.
I was amazed that these great big things could be held up by a plastic bag.
Right, so we have tumbling screens, all types of other sorting equipment that are designed to separate out your clean food and beverage containers and the paper and the metals and other things like that into those appropriate bunkers where they can then be sorted and sold to market. So what happens are things like plastic bags, garden hoses, a metal chain, things like that that can wrap up in that separation equipment will actually get caught up into those gears, cause that entire system to be shut down. They've got to make sure that it's safe for the workers, lock out, tag out, then go in there and manually remove those items. And what happens is the whole time you're losing efficiency in that process, not only posing a safety hazard to those staff, but you're ultimately reducing the amount of total tonnage that is recycled in that facility in a given day.
It amazed me. I was one of those people that thought, well, I'll throw it in, let them decide whether or not it should be recyclable.
Right. And
But that's not the best.
You're not alone.
I was trying to do right. My wife would say, do this, do that. And so whenever I saw that stuff, I just throw it in there.
Right, so just for your viewers, let's go ahead and touch on what we do want to see.
She was more
in the
right
blue
than I
carts.
was about what was going in there, by the way.
So the subset of items that we do want in the blue cart, first of all, I'd like to say we do have a new webpage. It's www.hillsboroughcounty.org/recycling. On that page, we've got a variety of items, not only describing what we do want in your blue cart and a justification as to why we can recover that, but also a list of problem items that we're seeing pretty regularly and routinely in the carts that aren't recoverable in our system, but that there are options to recycle it elsewhere. But just to focus on what we can put in the blue cart very quickly, clean food and beverage containers. So think about whether that be plastic or metal or glass. If it's a food and beverage container that's been rinsed out and cleaned, you're good to go with that. Also, our clean fibers. Think of the items that come in your mailbox every day, any of that glossy paper, magazines, envelopes, even with the little plastic window, your newspapers, all of those items are good to go, as well as your cardboard. What we're having problems with are some items that are anything that could wrap up in the equipment like we talked about. So clothing is a big thing where people can donate that to your local charity of your choice.
So rags and things of this nature do not go in there.
That is right. Plastic tarps, plastic sheeting of any type or film, whether that be plastic grocery bags or dry cleaner bags, those items end up wrapping up in that separation equipment and causing more trouble than those items are worth. So those are the things that we're trying to help educate people now how our system works and how to avoid putting those in your recycling cart. Go ahead and put them in your garbage cart. And one thing that we can touch on a little bit is our waste to energy facility, where we actually incinerate garbage to make electricity. My office is powered by it. Wastewater treatment plant's powered by it. So we are not landfilling that material. We are finding beneficial use for it through electrical production.
Yeah, when we were over in the facility, we saw one of the things that stopped everything, and now I understand why. It was a length of stainless steel cable about 10 to 15 feet long. And I'm thinking to myself, that's good. That's stainless steel. It's expensive stuff. We can recycle that, but not there.
Correct.
That sort of thing should go out to the various dump sites, correct?
That's correct. Or your viewers can take any scrap metal that they may have out to a scrap yard. They will be paid for that. That item will be recyclable.
Well, that's right.
It depends on the market. The prices are always changing. But if you've got a lot of scrap metal from whether you're doing a construction project, home remodel, or even a lawnmower blade, those types of things are metal. They can be recycled somewhere, but not in our blue cart, because our system is designed to capture the highest volume materials, which happen to be the food and beverage type items.
Let's talk a little bit about the newspaper or paper kinds of things.
Right.
Because not everything is equal there. I
Right.
remember seeing a bunch of this come through, and evidently somebody put a lot of shredded materials in, and it looked like a snowstorm when they tried to separate it.
Right, yeah. Shredded paper is one of those other items that we just have difficulty in capturing and recovering and successfully recycling. The part of that is once it's shredded, all of those fibers become so thin and those pieces are so small, it just doesn't successfully make it through our
Well, you
sorting
use
process.
air to separate some things.
That's correct. There are optical scanners there, there's air jets going on, there's lots of manual and mechanical separation, and ultimately that system is designed to capture as much material as it can in a given amount of time. So those items that are shredded material or very small don't always make it through there successfully. But getting into paper in particular, it's important for people to know that your fibers should be clean and dry. So if you've got a soggy newspaper that's been sitting out there on the curb for 2 days, you happen not to get to reading it, and it's completely soaking wet, that item would not be something we'd want in your recycling cart, because of that paper at that point in time is already to the point where it's soiled.
Well, not only that, now when you bunch that up and you put it into a bale, and the buyer from the bale, I understand, comes out to buy, don't they test it or something for water and that sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
could
sir.
have
No,
a
you're
whole
correct.
bale rejected for some
That's
minor-
right. So as the recycling industry has grown and grown, which is a great thing, we've got more and more people recycling, and that's awesome. There's more and more companies that are making recycled materials. So literally new businesses are popping up all the time that can find a use of something that was a waste product, turn it into something that it's a new product through the recycling process. That said, there are international and national specifications as to a bale of a particular type of recyclable, whether that be paper or plastic or anything else, as to the specifications for moisture content, what amount of contamination or other items that aren't supposed to be that particular type of bale are acceptable.
If you have aluminum cans, you end up with a bunch of other kinds of
That's
cans.
right. Or in the instances of our old newspaper, if you've got a bunch of wet, soggy stuff in there, that is a commodity that's going to be judged lower grade than if you had clean, dry fibers. So ultimately, our process is designed to recover those materials and then to successfully market it so it can get made into something new. If you've got lots of bales of wet newspaper that's not going to sell well on the market, potentially that item might not be able to get successfully recycled, even though we went through the trouble of processing it. So there is a demand side on the back end from the manufacturers. We have to be responsive to their needs because they're the ones ultimately turning it into a new product.
I was kind of amazed at the foam, because I was going to take out, just the other day, I went to take out an egg carton and throw it in there.
Right.
And I realized you had said any of the foam won't go.
That's right. So styrofoam is another issue that we have, or that's the trademark name. There's also the expanded polystyrene. And you'll even see some of those containers now will have a number 6
Oh,
and
yeah.
the recycling triangles on there. And the issue with that, it is technically a type of plastic. And the problem is that material is not very dense. It's very lightweight. And when you go to actually send that through a bale or to have the space needed to stockpile that to get a shipment out, it's just not cost effective for us to recover it within our system. Fortunately, Publix in particular and some of your other local grocery stores, Walmart, Target, and others are placing receptacles at the front entrances of their stores. They can take back your plastic bags and that film, also the styrofoam material. So please check with your local store to see if they have a receptacle. I know Publix in particular has expanded their recycling where they can take those egg cartons from you, and even the side, vegetable trays of the black foam and the white foam, those types of things as well.
Everything you buy now has foam packaging of some kind. Of television set, you get huge amounts of this foam.
Right.
And you have to decide what to do with it. And here, you put it in the trash, not in the recycle.
That's right. And people shouldn't feel bad about the fact that they're not recycling that item, because in reality, when it goes to the waste to energy facility, we are using it to make renewable energy here within the state of Florida. We recognize waste to energy as a cornerstone of our integrated solid waste system. It's a valuable piece to keep stuff from going to the landfill. So, it's not going to end up in the landfill. We'll incinerate it. We'll make electricity. We'll keep my lights on in my office so I can keep speaking with you and getting the word out.
And your facility over there, the manager, Steve, was it?
Yes, sir. Steve Schweigert.
Wonderful guy. I can't say enough about all the people we met over there. Even the people on the line. I mean, if your day starts out sorting trash, that's your whole day. You'd wonder about your attitude. But the people over there had a fantastic, when the machine went down, the lady stopped sorting trash and then started telling me how important all the things she was doing. So
that's right. Steve.
These people care.
He runs a great facility over there. They do a high amount of volume. And ultimately, those people understand that what they're doing does make an impact. It does not only help the local economy, help local businesses, but it also helps the environment, and they take pride in that. And that's something that we're very fortunate to have a great partner with Progressive Waste Solutions.
Steve was telling me over there about the foam, and he said, can you imagine how much foam it takes and how much pressure it takes to crush that down into a bale and then you've got one bale.
Right.
And the buyer doesn't want one bale.
Right.
You've got to have so many bales of it, and it really becomes a problem with storing it, crushing it. It's really a difficult thing.
Right.
So burning it is not all that bad right now, at least.
Well, one of the things that we got to remember is there's kind of a give and take between the manufacturers that are making these containers and these products for us, and then the back-end manufacturers that are using something as a recycled feedstock to make something new. So, it's to the advantage of the manufacturers that are making the containers that they want their product to be recycled. So you'll see instances of some items that we can't collect in our system that aren't recyclable in our particular program, but they might have the recycling logo on it. A perfect example would be some of the helium tanks that you're seeing now, propane tanks from camping.
That was
tanks.
another thing. I thought, boy, this
That's
is
right.
all metal. It's good stuff.
That's right. So they're manufacturing that tank. They know it's made out of metal. They're wanting to put that recycling symbol on there to help communicate that that can be recycled somewhere. But ultimately, those types of items, they're under pressure. They can't be baled successfully through our system. They could also be a flammability hazard.
Well, danger.
Correct.
When the machine goes to crush this thing, it blows up.
Right. So
Plus all the gases that are left in it.
That's right. So you always have a little bit of give and take between the technology that's doing the sorting and the recovering, trying to keep up with the new types of packaging that are emerging. And another issue with that would be, the flexible types of packaging you're starting to see. For instance, a tuna can used to be all of your tuna was in a can. Mm-hmm. We can recycle that steel or tin can. However, the new flexible packaging that they got the little pouches, that's something that is not
with the metal
recyclable.
inside.
Exactly.
Kinda.
It's not recyclable in our program. So, there's great environmental benefits for them to use that different type of packaging. It saves energy, getting it there. It's lighter, like you said, less fuel to get it to market, but now the recoverability, the recyclability of that packaging is diminished. So those are things where there's always going to be some changes, and technology is always going to be updating to keep track with whatever new types of products are coming out to market.
I think people really want to do something about this. They want to make their efforts known, and they want to do it. But, when you all came out at the beginning, you said, here's the things that we asked you to do. And now you come back and say, well, no, not so much. We're going to do that. But they better get used to that, right? Because technology is constantly changing.
Right.
And we started out trying to do everything.
Right. Well,
and it didn't work.
Well, that's great.
But we're not quitting.
Back in October 2013, the county rolled out the new recycling program, not only with the garbage, but also the rolling carts for recycling. And with that, it has been a great success. So we want to thank our residents for participating. We've doubled the amount of material getting recycled every year. So by all accounts, that's great success. But we did understand that we were going to try to capture as much material as we can and successfully recycle as much as we can. And the reality is there are some things that we're not being able to successfully recover within our particular process. So we're going to have to adapt, like you said, make sure that we are maximizing the amount of material that can be recycled. And as part of that, we're refining that system and that message to let people know some of those items that we previously were trying to recover are causing more problems than they're worth, particularly the wrappable plastic items. The plastic bags are one that we keep going to, but they really are problematic. They're very lightweight.
And that's when everybody said, well, we can get rid of, okay, we'll put them in a bag, that'll be fine, but don't put them in there, period.
Right.
In a bag, out of a bag, and that's also some other things, like putting newspapers, I understand, in a plastic bag.
Right, yeah.
It's
so
not a good game.
You don't want to bag any of your recyclables. Make sure all your recyclables are in there clean, dry, and loose. And the reason for that is when it goes to our sorting facility, it'll be separated out. So it's an added convenience to the customer that they don't have to worry about sorting it at the curb. There is machinery now that can go through and separate everything out. However, if it's in a bag, or even a paper bag for that matter, it will not be able to get separated out as efficiently as that line's moving. As you saw over there, they try to keep that moving as quickly as they can.
And these people are just picking and moving, and it's fabulous to watch them work.
That's why, a couple key takeaways, when in doubt, leave it out. We're really focusing on a core subset of those food and beverage containers that are clean, and then also the clean fibers. The one-off stuff, the tarps and hoses and other things, garden hoses, pool hoses are another item that are very problematic for us. You would think it's all plastic.
All those things are thrown in there, yeah.
That's right, but go ahead and throw them in your garbage cart instead. Like I said, we'll convert it to, the waste energy facility, convert it to electricity. It's not going to go to the landfill. You don't have to worry about being that aspirational recycler to try to recycle as much as you can. In reality, we're designed to capture the most volume, the highest percentage commodities that we can successfully recover. And some of those one-off items, it just doesn't make sense for us to try to recycle it.
Well, as time goes by, more and more things will fall into the recycled category.
That is true.
Because you're not stopping. You're
That's right.
looking for new ways to process.
We're
correct?
always looking to expand the program to not only bring more people in to participate, to get other businesses and the community to participate in recycling programs, but also to define some of those markets for some of those items. As you mentioned too earlier, hopefully I'm coming back in a year or two with a different message that we can recycle more things. And that all depends on our ability to successfully market it out and actually have someone to purchase it to make new things. If there's not that demand,
there has
for
to
the
be a market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got to make dollars and cents. It's not always just about recycling as much as you can. There is a business behind it, and we have lots of players that are involved with that. And for them to be able to make a profit, they have to be able to recycle things to their specifications.
We haven't hit on a couple of things that I remember you talked about at the meetings that we've went to
Right.
and watched you speak. And one of them was cans, like aerosol cans, things with WD-40 in it,
Right.
underarm deodorant, paint, whatever. So let's talk about what people should do with
Sure.
those. They're metal cans.
Right. So these types of items that have propellant, whether that be, like you said, the Raid bug spray or WD-40 or any of those other types of items, technically those often are flammable items, or they could have caustic chemicals and whatnot.
Well,
especially
paint
some
is.
of your, some of your health and beauty type
And I
stuff
didn't
as well.
realize you mentioned WD-40 was flammable.
That's right.
I didn't
And
know it would burn.
Some of the issues with some of these items are not only are they under pressure, meaning that that particular item, when it goes through our sorting equipment, could get caught, and that puncture could cause an issue in and of itself. But also, per federal guidelines, those propellants technically are household hazardous waste type items. Those should be taken to one of our county's household hazardous waste collection events, and they're on rotating Saturdays. You can check out our website. Again, it's www.hillsboroughcounty.org/recycling, and there's a link there where you can get to our household hazardous waste program as well, and you can find the facility that's closest to your viewers. They do rotate throughout the county. You can go there and bring not only your old paints and other things that might have been sitting in the garage that you don't want to get rid of, old fertilizers, gas, that type of stuff as well. They can take all of that stuff there, and we'll make sure to dispose of it responsibly for you.
I had suggested that one of the things Travis might do, or his department might do, is every month or every 2 months, send a truck out, and that time you put out all that hazardous stuff and let them take it. But you had a pretty good response for that.
Well,
Not being a chemist, I didn't think of this.
Well, some of the things is that might sound simple to folks, but in reality, you've got all these different chemicals and everything together from each household, and mixing those all in one truck is definitely a bad idea. You could have all kinds of chemical reactions that could be a problem.
Explosive.
So, exactly. So, and that's why we have our household hazardous waste collection events. They rotate around because we have trained staff there. They have certifications, and they know how to offload that material, how to palletize it successfully with our third parties that we have to dispose of it. So they're not sitting there mixing, throwing everything in one container. It's not like you're pulling up and dropping all your stuff in there with your friend or your neighbor. They are actually looking and seeing what material you got and putting it in the appropriate pile to prevent any of those types of chemical reactions or any other environmental incidents.
Are there any other particular things that we need to be real careful of putting in there?
I would say, the key items is focus on what can go in the cart.
Okay.
And like I said, when in doubt, leave it out
Leave it
otherwise.
out. Okay.
So what can go in the cart, as we mentioned, are your clean food and beverage type containers. And that's glass, plastic, and also your metal food and beverage containers. If it's a can or bottle or container of any sort that you can get from the grocery store, pretty much that's going to be recyclable. Also our clean fibers, so not only the items that can come in your mailbox, but the paperboard material, like a cereal box, Pop-Tart box, that type of fiber is very useful for us. What to avoid would be anything that is a wrappable type item, and by that I mean that you can envision wrapping up on separation equipment or a conveyor belt, and that would be your plastic sheeting, the plastic bags, plastic tarps, plastic hoses. Any type of electrical equipment or any of that stuff also is not recyclable in our curbside system, but you can take it to our community collection centers.
What about a cereal box that has the inside liner?
Right.
You have to pull that out? Or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That plastic film would be the same thing as a plastic grocery bag. So you'd want to go ahead and bundle that type of plastic, and you can either dispose of it in your garbage cart, we'll send it to the waste to energy facility, or you can take it back to your local grocery store, check with them. They do have receptacles now to recycle that type of plastic film.
I remember one of the questions at one of the meetings we went to, and that meeting was, I can't believe people were turned away from the door. So many people wanted to come. It was out in Sun City Center. And people just literally showed up early and were turned away because there were just so many people. But one of the questions they asked was about the cart itself. and why we had gone to that cart with a single driver
Right.
and all the mechanics of it and everything rather than somebody dumping. And you had a pretty good answer for
Right,
that.
yeah, there was, I think, over 250 people out there at that meeting. So who would have knew it would have been so exciting to talk about trash. But we love the opportunity to engage with the public and let them know more about our system. There's a lot of advantages to using the automated vehicles for collection. Mainly, it's more efficient. We can cover more ground, more houses with less vehicles and less staff, and therefore there's cost savings for the customer. Additionally, it's greatly improves safety to the drivers. Instead of them having to get out at every single stop, manually get over there and have a lot of repetitive motion injuries where they're bending over, picking up that item and dumping it in the truck. Instead, they can sit in the truck, they keep their eyes on the road, focused on safety, and they can use that automated arm to collect that cart and then dump it into their container. It's also reduced windblown litter quite a bit. Previously, in the dual stream system, you had your bin sitting out there. If you're on a busy highway or windy day, that stuff would be strewn out. In my neighborhood, I had raccoons and possums digging through my cat food containers.
We had buzzards.
Exactly. So keeping everything containerized, not only is it making it safer for the drivers, more efficient on the route, but it also means the higher quality of recyclables because they're drier and they're cleaner. And because of that, we've had a lot more participation. It's more convenient for the customer. So all those things together are why the county decided to go with those automated recycling. And like I said, we've seen great success. We've doubled the amount of tonnage in the past 2 years.
We have about 1 minute.
Yes,
what
sir.
would you like to say to the audience to reinforce your message?
I think the important thing to do is don't get disheartened that there's changes to the system. Recycling is important, not only for the environment, but also for the local economy. It does create jobs, create new businesses. And with that, make sure you check out our new website. All the information is on there as to what you can and can't put in the cart. And then if you're going back home or if you're in a different jurisdiction, please check with your local municipality there. Their rules very well might differ based on their particular system and their local markets for where they can take the material to actually be recycled.
Just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
How do we stand on the recycling scale? Are we really super high tech, or are we part way up, or
I'd
in
say
comparison to other areas?
Hillsborough County is very much so at the cutting edge, I think. We have a single stream program now. A lot of municipalities across the country are transitioning into that, and we did so a couple years ago. So our facility is great. It can capture a lot of material, process a lot of tonnage, as we've seen with doubling to about 62,000 tons a year now that we're getting just from Hillsborough County residents. So that's great. Can there be improvements? Always, and that's why I'm here to make sure that we're moving forward and making sure that when we come back and talk next time, there's going to be new exciting things about the program.
Technology is wonderful, and it changes
That's right.
constantly. And, you know, you're going to say, well, you didn't tell me. Well, we are telling you. Oh, you told me that, now you've changed your mind? Yes, we told you that, we'll change our mind. Because technology changes. If you've always done what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And we can't stand burying ourselves in trash. We've got to change what we've always done. Travis Barnes, I'm so happy you came on the program.
Thank you,
and
sir.
remember, we'll leave you with the famous words, when in doubt, leave it out. You're unique, you're special, and you're great. Tell yourself so often because you are, you know, and we'll catch you on the next Spotlight on Government. And Travis, thanks a lot for being with me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.